Better, guys. And I have one question. Is the UFC back? We have big fight announcements in stacked fight nights. Stacked fight nights. Yes, you heard that right. We haven't seen stacked fight nights except in, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, the black gold countries. But now the UFC has made some great matchups on some fight night cards. And I'm going to be going through these newly announced matchups, giving an early preview, and giving my opinions on the matchups, and giving my thoughts on how they're organizing, matchmaking these cards. And the UFC may be back, man. This is a big step in the right direction. Maybe it was the whole ESPN drama, and now that they're signed with Paramount, they are really going to finally go back to putting on great cards week in and week out. And a great example of this is the newly announced fight between Rainier de Ritter and Alexander Hernandez. Fluffy Hernandez. I met him. I have a picture with him. I should have pulled that up. Anyways, this is a big matchup. This possibly could be the next title challenger for Khamzat Chimaev, and is going to give us a great insight to see if either of these guys actually have a chance at beating Khamzat. And Dana has said it could possibly be the winner of this matchup or the matchup of Imavov and Bharlo. And we were all thinking it was for sure being the guy who wins out of Imavov and Bharlo. However, him saying that about this fight is very important because most likely these are the two guys that have the best chance of actually going in there and at least being competitive with Khamzat, if not possibly dethroning him. Even though I don't think I'd pick either of these guys. It depends on their performance, though. And this is a big fight. Anthony Fluffy's Hernandez's pace and cardio and grit and toughness is a huge X factor for him in the middleweight division. And he's taking on a guy in Rainier de Ritter who his X factor is his awkward style and his and his ability to physically will his way to victory. He's done this in pretty much all of his fights. He doesn't show like these crazy skills or anything, but man, his knee straight up the middle to the body and his ability to just stay in these fights and muck them up and win, especially against Robert Whitaker like we saw recently, is very impressive. Now, I'm high on Anthony Hernandez, but I don't know who I'm going to be picking in this fight yet. And I'm really excited that the UFC announced this as the main event in Vancouver, and that Dana said the winner of this could be the next to challenge Khamzat. And I think just these matches that we're going to get into and the matchmaking and them actually putting good fights on these fight night cards and getting us excited for these is very good for the UFC. The UFC may be back, especially in the next month in October. We're going to get into that later, but just the slate of fights and pay-per-views, 2 pay-per-views that month, is very optimistic for the UFC community, especially considering that we've recently been talking about how lousy the matchmaking and about how lousy these cards have been, and them not putting any effort into making stacked pay-per-views and at least a decent fight night here and there. The only good fight nights we get are the ones overseas in the Middle East. And they must be forking over some of that oil money because they get good cards over there. But I'm very excited about this matchup and very excited about the fact that the winner of this could take on Khamzat. And I think whoever wins this match, whoever wins this fight, really does have the best chance of beating Khamzat and making it a competitive fight. And I'm very excited for this matchup. I'm leaning towards Anthony right now. Could be recency bias, but I'm going to rewatch some fights. We'll get into that next month when I make the picks and previews fight. However, let's get into the rest of these matchups announced on the UFC Vancouver card. Now, this is good because it is a ranked bantamweight fight. However, how good is Zahabi really? And at this point, Marlon Vera is not looking too sharp. However, I still think this will be an entertaining fight somewhat. And this leads into the fact that they're actually putting effort into giving us palatable fight night cards. And giving us, we've got co-main events on fight nights that are like 2 nobodies. but we're getting a ranked bantamweight match that actually means something. So I think this is a step in the right direction for the UFC, and I'm hoping we can consistently get this out of them. Honestly, I probably think Zahabi wins this with this grappling. I need to rewatch Cheeto's last fight and really get into what. Ooh, pop my neck. Into really where he's at in his career and whatnot. But then they also announced Kevin Holland and Mike Malott. That's a great fight, honestly. I'll be excited for this fight. It's going to be interesting to see where Malott stacks up against the 15th ranked Kevin Holland. You know, you shouldn't even rank him after losing to Daniel Rodriguez. I don't even think D-Rod should be ranked. Nevertheless, this is a good matchup. Kevin Holland's he's a tricky customer on the feet. He's a tricky customer. And however, I probably am leaning towards Malott just with his grappling, and I think he will be able to take down Kevin Holland without too much resistance. But this is just this is actually effort in putting a Canadian guy against a big name in Vancouver, Canada, like Kevin Holland. And I think that this is an intriguing fight. This is a prospect, and this against a guy who we don't really know what to say about at this point. We know, dude, take your career seriously or don't, Kevin Holland. Nevertheless, this is good matchmaking. It's prospect building, and this is another clap up for the UFC and a step in the right direction. Very good matchup. Usually I wouldn't talk about this, but this is a decent fight. Again, having a Canadian woman, Jasmine Jasudavicius. She's actually pretty good. Her ability to dominate on the ground, and she has decent striking on the feet. I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup with Manon Fiorot, who showed in the Shevchenko fight she actually does have some decent grappling chops and is pretty solid on the feet. And I could see this actually being pretty entertaining, especially for a WMMA fight. And again, while this is a WMMA fight, and I don't usually get too excited for him. Probably still won't be that excited for this one. But this is good matchmaking. And again, prospect building. A chick like Jasudavicius, she's one away from a title shot. And also having a French lady, Manon Fiorot, on a Canada card. Again, good matchmaking, smart. We're actually putting thought and care into making a product for us fans to actually enjoy and be excited for Saturday night. And again, good job on the UFC. Good job to the UFC. And I think this will be an interesting match. I'll probably take Jasudavicius. I think she may be champ. She's pretty good, man. In all honesty, I don't know if I will, but I probably should go back and watch some of her prior fights. But, man, just this right here, this is a worthy fight night card to be like, oh, yes, this fight's tonight. Or even, earlier in the week, be like, oh, that's Saturday night, looking forward. Solid fight night, not paying $85 for it, with solid matchups, with a big main event with big implication. And I feel every fight night card has to have either a main event that you know is going to be a good fight, or it at least has to have some implication within the rankings, and they have to be this is for a title shot most likely. I think when Dana said that, he's like, it's really going to be the winner of these guys who gets the title shot, because maybe he's finally listening to us and what the fans want. So again, I think this is big for the UFC, making matchups like this on fight nights. I'll be looking forward to this on October 18th, man. And even maybe just rounding this card out, it may even be, we may have some solid prospects on the prelims, and I'm excited. I'm excited about the way the UFC is moving forward. Let's get in. Now, these fights, I mainly just want to talk about this one for a second. These are some other fights added to the Rio card. Again, good job adding Davison Figueiredo, a guy, I think he is from Rio, but he's a Brazilian, and a decent name value on a fight night card on the main card. There's no way this on the prelims. Against a prospect in Montel Jackson. Now, Montel's been a part of a couple of snooze fests, and he doesn't fight too often, but he has shown the ability to actually pose some threats in the bantamweight division. And again, good job. This is prospect building against a guy in his home country on the Rio card. something you can actually be excited. I just read this comment. These are not big fights. They are big fights. But I just wanted to touch on this. And I know Figueiredo, he looked old and like he didn't want to be in there against Sandhagen. But I still may lean towards Figgy in this fight. Just with his bottom grappling game and his quickness. However, he didn't look too fast last fight, but that could have been a one-off situation. And then this is a solid fight. This is a solid fight night fight. You have a guy, Luque, who's been on a bit of a losing tread these past couple years, taking on against a vet like Ponzinibbio, who goes out there and scraps a lot of the times, and Luque's always down for a good scrap. So this is, for the UFC fans who pay attention to the sport, this is a good fight. This is a good fight and a good addition to the Brazil card. And again, another good Brazilian with decent name value, and they're actually putting him on the Brazilian card. There's a couple other fights. Look at this blob, dude. I mean, we got Vitor Petrino and Thomas Peterson. I'm not talking about it. Like, why would you don't even gotta announce that one, man. That should be the first fight on the prelims, dude. Oh my goodness. But these are two good examples again of what I'm talking about. And hopefully the UFC is finally back to actually caring about the matchmaking and card placement and prospect building and things like that. So I'm excited for this fight. Actually, I think this will be a good fight. Gosh dang, I'm blanking on who Luque lost to last. Oh my goodness. Was it? It was Kevin Holland. Yeah, he lost to Kevin Holland. Right. Yes, because that was on the Sean O'Malley card and Merab card. Yeah, because then Holland fought D-Rod and lost. So not a good look on Luque. But, again, Luque, older, not making a title run. Ponzinibbio, older, never really was making a title run. Well, kind of before he got hurt. But a good fight and a good addition to the card. And this got announced earlier today. Rob Font and Raul Rosas Jr. on the Noche card coming up in a few weeks. And good, Rosas Jr. should be on the Noche card. He's a very handsome guy. He's very good looking. He's looks maxing, guys. A lot of people, I think, are going to say they're rushing Rosas Jr. And against any other guy in the top 15 in the bantamweight division, I would probably say the same thing. However, in Rob Font's last outing, I can't remember the guy's name. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name. However, he looked very vulnerable on the ground. And I think I will probably pick Font just because I think this is too much too soon for Rosas. What is he now? Like 21 maybe? And he's looked a bit shinny. And Rob Font has very good boxing and very quick hands. But this is exciting. I mean, this is an exciting fight. Rosas Jr., he's kind of popular. A more popular contender prospect against a proven guy like Rob Font. And it's more interesting than you would think. I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this and go, are you kidding me, Rosas? But against Font, I think Rosas poses some problems. I think this is a closer fight than a lot of people are going to say. And that's more talking about Font's vulnerability in the grappling department, not so much how good Raul Rosas Jr. is. However, he is a very good grappler. But it's one of those things, like, we always get these more jiu-jitsu guys coming up and who are dangerous on the ground. However, they don't have those entries in, like, wrestling takedowns to get the fight to the ground as easy as a lot of these very good wrestlers, especially those from the Caucasus region. But exciting, makes sense. At least Rosas being on the Noche card, I don't know how much it makes sense to have him up against Rob Font. But, again, taking care of the fans and giving us something to look forward to. And now, I just want to talk about the slate we have coming up. And I'm first going to talk about the October slate. Now, first weekend of October, we have a big pay-per-view. I know they just they moved. A lot of people haven't realized this. They moved Rakic and Mirzakhanov to the 321 card in Abu Dhabi, which I think was a good call, considering which they need another big fight on that card for sure. Because as of now, that is not a stacked card whatsoever. Good fights on there, sure. Good. The issue with that is Tom Aspinall. It's hard to get hyped up for his fights because he's just going to steamroll everybody. There's no one in the heavyweight division who can touch him. And he's just going to steamroll these guys. So I'm hoping they got to add one more big fight on there. Hopefully we get that Sarukian Pimblett matchup added there. I honestly think with what Sarukian has came out and said about Dana, he talked to Dana and said he should be returning on the Abu Dhabi or Qatar Doha fight night, which is at the end of November. So he better be on the Abu Dhabi card. If we don't see Sarukian again until November, man, I don't know what to say. That's pathetic, and there's no room for it in this sport and at the UFC level. But the good part about that is he will not be getting a title shot because Topuria is not going to fight on 321. They're not going to have Topuria and Aspinall on the same card, most likely. And if it's a fight night, he's for sure not fighting Topuria. So that is a big deal for us fight fans. And then let's move down from that. Rakic, Mirzakhanov, good fight. Volkov, Almeida, good fight. But we need one big fight and some solid matchmaking down the line. Doug, what are we doing? Gosh. No. I'm making a video, big guy. Sorry. No. Anyways, and then we've been over the Vancouver card. Those top four, man, you're pretty solid after that. And dude, we got Asmat Bekoyev coming back. So get hyped, guys. And then we have the Rio card, which when you have Charles Oliveira headlining a Rio fight night card, that's all. That good job. That's already big, and I'm already excited for it. And hopefully we'll probably see Carlos Prates on that card. Just imagine Carlos Prates, Leon Edwards in that co-main event slot, dude. Sign me up. That is a big fight night with big implications, and that is something to get excited for. Now, let's talk about 320, which will be opening up October. Oh, I didn't even notice that. Ooh, if that's the main event, we're going to have an issue. If that's the main event of a fight night, we're going to have an issue. However, I just had to hit that real quick. Look, we got two title fights. UFC 320 in Las Vegas. We have Magomed and Alex. Interesting matchup. I think Mog is going to mog him, sadly. But then we have Merab and Corey, and Merab's probably going to mog Corey as well. But then we have a banger matchup of Yuri and Khalil coming in there in a feature fight. That just has fireworks written all over it. A solid fight between middleweight contenders / prospects in Abus and Joe Pyfer. A little slept-on match right here. Shabazi and Muniz. Not bad at all. We'll see a Basharat Bro and Chris Gutierrez on there. Chris Gutierrez by split decision. Anybody? Yeah, and that is also the Patchy Mix Wilkosh fight. That I may make a little short video because he has been recently signed. He's from KSW, and we recently got the Lisson Kieda, I think is his name. He is fighting. I thought it was on this card. No, it's on the Paris card. Yes. We have him fighting Patricio Pitbull. I may make a little video. I may go watch some fights. And they just signed the guy from Cage Warriors. Forgot his name already. But I like them signing these contenders in other promotions who are bigger names there. Just for sure to just give some more. Just inject a little, not a COVID vaccine, but a little life into the divisions and giving some interesting storylines. And, it's interesting to see a guy who's at the top of a smaller promotion coming to the UFC. That's interesting. So, I think that's a good deal. Patchy Mix looking to get back. We got Gautier on that card as well. So, they need another good mate. they need at least some. They need one more like pretty decent fight on that. But we have some work to do on the UFC 321 card for sure. But man, it looks like we're gonna be eating in October, and that's exciting. That's back to back weekends, rolling into November, getting closer to the Paramount deal, and it's gonna be exciting for UFC fans. And like this weekend, we have a pretty decent triple header at the top of the Shanghai card. Sergey Pavlovich, always usually a fun guy to watch, taking on Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think this is going to be a closer fight than a lot of people think. Making a video probably tomorrow predicting these fights. Like Brian Ortega, Aljamain Sterling, I'm so glad they made it 5 rounds. This would usually be a fight night main event, but they're going to put Zhang Mingyang in the main event, of course, considering it's in China. But like that's an interesting and good fight. That's when grappling is gonna be. That's gonna be so fun to watch those transitions and rolling and why can't I think of the word scrambles? So scrambles are gonna be great. 2 great submission artists, and we're gonna get to see Zhang Mingyang just flatline Johnny Walker. And when is that not fun to watch? And the Paris card is pretty solid, man. It's okay. There should probably. It's okay, man. A good main event. Those 2 guys just don't get me too excited for some reason, but probably leading up to the fight, we'll get more excited about it. So we got Ruffy in the co-main event against Saint-Denis. That's gonna be, and then like we got an interesting storyline fight there with Pitbull and the Keita guy. Tybura Deje. Meh, but it's something. Top 10 heavyweights. And there's a couple of sleepers on here, Like, I'm really excited for this fight. Andreas Gustafsson and Hanat Fakhretdinov. But yeah, like, and then we have the UFC Noche card in San Antonio. If this stays the co-main event, I will be upset. However, main event is phenomenal. That's a big deal. You got Gaslam on the card. Not the biggest fight necessarily. Him taking on Stolfus, and Stolfus is not that good. We'll see Jared Gordon. We just got the Rosas and Font fight announced. It's going to be a bad sign if they announce that as a co-main event. That means we will probably not see too much more on this card. However, we got Puelles on the card. He's fun to watch. And then we have the fight night, or the tough welterweight finale. Not bad. Not stacked by any means, but still it's quite a bit better, especially considering the main event, than the fight night cards we've been getting. They have a lot of work to do on this Perth card, though. Great main event. That's really all I got to say about that right now. Jimmy Crute coming on a quick turnaround. That's cool. How is Junior Taffa still in the UFC? You got Navajo Sterling taking on a decent guy in Bellato. That'll be interesting. But this is good for the UFC that we're getting big fights announced for fight night main events with cards actually forming that you can get excited for, and especially considering we won't see the Apex again until November 1st. That's a pretty big deal for us. They need to get out of the Apex. I don't know why we're still doing that. That's actually absolutely ridiculous. And the news about them expanding it to fit 5,000 to 10,000 fans, that was not even true. Yeah, I don't know where that goofball heard that from, as Dana said. But, which is stupid. I mean, I was excited for that. You ruined it, Dana. You loser. But, well, I'll be a little nice, Dana. You've been cooking a little bit. I doubt he even made half these. I bet he didn't make one of these matchups, actually, if you want me to be honest. However, I'm glad this is what we're seeing for the future of the UFC and future matchups. And I think it's very important that we see more fight cards and especially fight nights come out like this. And especially if these 2 pay-per-views end up being pretty stacked. At least with getting 2 pay-per-views in 1 month, at least getting them in that 7.5 to 8.5 range of how the card looks and the matchups that we get. That is big for the sport. And especially considering where we've been the past year and a half, it has not been that pleasing for us fans. So let me know what you think about these newly announced matchups in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the UFC's future and how they're looking after matchmaking and putting on and building cards like this. And please like and subscribe. Check out my older videos, if you will. I think they're pretty good videos, man. I think they're pretty good, dude. But I'm excited for where the UFC is looking, right? Like the trajectory. We're getting back up there to peak, hopefully. And hopefully this isn't just a little, little carrot to the horse type of deal. And then we come out in November and everything's a trash card again. But like I said, let me know what y'all think in the comments. And like and subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next video.